Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Glad you could join me here today. This is episode 260 of the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Cabral, board certified Doctor of Naturopathy, founder of the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. Today we're going to be going over the one coaching client that is easiest to help. And I think as we start to move through the show, you'll understand very clearly why. And in my opinion, it's also then makes it the easiest, best, and most rewarding business plan to create for your business, at least in the beginning. All right, so let's dive right into the show. I want you to think about this. So a lot of people get into the natural health industry, even like personal training. So many, when I was growing up, 18 years old to 22 years old, I was kind of learning the ropes of personal training, nutrition. 22 years old, I was then full-time in that and nutrition. And I was working with, at least 30 other to 50 total personal trainers. And I realized that a lot of them had their own body dysmorphia issues. They had their own weight loss issues, weight gain issues, like all sorts of body image issues. And they were working through that. And this was their chosen field. And then they chose to teach that to others. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of people in the natural health-based field, we go through our own struggles. So for example, for me, I didn't necessarily choose personal training and nutrition. However, those two things were helping me in some small way to improve my overall health, because I was dealing with autoimmune issues, really just debilitated immune system, mitochondria, and much, much more. And so blood sugar dysregulation, insomnia, allergies, Addison's disease, POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, you name it. And so what I realized was that, okay, if I changed my food, I felt a little bit better. If I changed the way I exercise, I felt a little bit better. And so I started to get into that and teach that. And obviously then, I started to take it to that next level. But it's not just me. A lot of people that get into this natural health field, maybe it's going through menopause and it's kind of figuring out hormonal balance for women. Maybe for others, it's a digestive issue or a childhood. Like maybe one of your children was sick as a child and you help them through those struggles. So what I want you to do is a little bit of an exercise. So if you're walking right now, listen to the show, or you're driving your car, just think about it right now. If not, I would love for you just to basically listen, stop, pause, journal, play again, and then go back through this, because I'm going to ask you a few questions. So think about how it is that you got sick, right? So think about back in the day, knowing what you know now, or maybe even what you're working through. How is it that you got sick? For me, it was a lot of stress. It was poor nutrition. It was poor sleep. It was being put on too many antibiotics. Like there was all sorts of different reasons, and everybody has their own reason, right? So think about that. What was the reason maybe you got sick or you got to where you were right now in your life? And the second one is think about what it took to get well. So think about all the different health practitioners you saw, all the different doctors, nutritionists, personal trainers, acupuncturists, naturopaths, etc. So think about all the different appointments that you had. And again, there's a reason why I'm giving you these thought exercises to do. And think about all the things now when you went to see, because I can remember, literally I traveled all over New York, New Hampshire, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island to see all these different practitioners and all these different health-based people that were basically trying to help me with my issues. And I appreciate every single one of them. And what I realized was that a lot of it was helpful. So I took what I felt was very helpful, even if it was just comforting. So I was like, think about what is comforting to the patient. I was the patient. Okay, so write all those things down. Remember them, right? Remember them. But then also remember what wasn't helpful. So I remember very specifically, again, a sick kid, my parents are taking me into all these hospitals in Boston, and they either told me, they just dismissed me, saying that it was all in my head, or that I was depressed, or that there is no cure, there is no fix, and we're just gonna have to see if anything gets worse, and maybe we can do something about that. And so those were not helpful. They were, if you wanna say that maybe to my parents, maybe, like if that's the best that you can do, but you don't say that to a child, like that's for sure. And by the way, those of you who are practitioners, as a teenager, teenagers are still children. The mind is not fully developed until about 25 or so years old. So be very careful all the way through really 23, 24 years old or so. Now be very careful what you're saying, because there's the placebo effect that can help people get well, but there's also the nocebo effect telling me that I would never get well, right? So that's the negative placebo effect. We don't want that either. So what I like to share is this. You want to think about the entire journey that it took you to reach your goals, or at least well on your way to where you are now, because I didn't wait in order to get well, in order to start teaching people. I learned what was working, right? That was helping me. And I taught that because most people weren't in the same poor health condition that I was, that they needed everything that I was doing. And so it also doesn't have to be about you. As I said before, it could be caring for a sick parent or grandparent or sibling or child. And think about the journey that they went through, that you understood, you felt their pain, you also felt their joy of what was working, what was very helpful for you. So I remember, again, what was really helpful for me. Well, it was just comforting, like people that would comfort me, give me hope. That was really helpful. The other thing was they would then give me a new level of education. So even if what they did didn't fix me, it gave me a new place to look, right? So with Addison's disease, okay, look at the adrenals, but don't just look at the adrenals. What else is stressing the adrenals? Highs and lows in blood sugar. Okay, poor nutrition. Got it. Okay, what else? Too much stress, not enough sleep. Okay, I can begin to meditate. I can begin to do Qigong, things like that. So the education is a really helpful part, even if you don't have all the answers. And the other part, for me at least, was groundbreaking. It was learning about at-home lab testing. And so I realized that I didn't have to rely just on blood work, that I could actually go a few levels deeper and look at my gut function. I could look at inflammation levels in terms of like omega-3s. I could look at food sensitivities. And so again, all these things were dramatically helpful for me. And so again, the reason why I'm sharing this is that you know your story really well. I know my story really well. Right. And so what I try to do is I can only share my story. Yes, I can give case studies and I can share with you all the different people that I've helped, over the past 25 years or so, both my team and I. But the thing is, like, my story is real and my story means a lot to me, because it's overcoming great struggles in life. And some practitioners extremely helpful, some not, some detrimental to my success. And what I always said is that I never wanted to repeat the mistakes of someone else. And what I wanted to do was take the best of what other practitioners did for me and start to mold that into my own practice, so that I have my own story, I have my own education, and that makes me unique. And you have yours. You have your own story, which nobody can change, like nobody can take from you. And the thing is, like, people always say, well, what differentiates you from excuse me, another competitor, another, practitioner? You don't need to. Your story is what people relate to, how you convey yourself, how much you care. And when you have that story and you know what you went through and you know what helped and what wasn't helpful, well, you begin to share that, because someone else right now is going through exactly what you went through. Now, they're going through it in their own way. But wouldn't it be amazing if you started to post on social media sharing your story? And people would connect with your story, people that are going through something very similar. Now, people have different autoimmune issues, but I had an autoimmune issue. So it doesn't matter if you're going through maybe Hashimoto's versus rheumatoid arthritis or something like that. They understand, like, okay, yeah, this person knows the struggles of an autoimmune issue. And so maybe by sharing that online, people say, okay, I'm going to connect with this individual. I want to learn more. And then what you can do very, very simply and very easily is continue to educate them along the way for free on social media. Okay, here are some foods that aggravate autoimmune-based issues. And it could be anything from eggs to specific types of, let's say, gluten, gliadin, etc. And when you share that, and you don't do it all at once, you just drip a little bit. Oh, and here's how it cross reacts. Have you ever looked into IgG food sensitivities, et cetera, et cetera? And these things are educating them. And then one day you just say on social media that, listen, if anyone is connecting to this story right now and you're dealing with maybe similar issues, I would be happy to set up a free discovery call with you, a complimentary consultation, to talk about what you have going on, to see that if it may be a good fit for us to work together. Because again, who knows them better than you? Who knows their struggles better than you? Well, if they're almost just like you in terms of what they went through, then you share that common bond. That's where that like, know, and trust is built up. And they're much better than to work with someone that they trust, that they believe in, that they shared a similar background with. And also, you're living proof that you can begin to get well or fully recover. So for me right now, yeah, I've overcome autoimmune issues and POTS and really debilitating immune-based issues, type 2 diabetes, Addison's disease, and many more. Now, and then I have a track record of helping different types of people. But in the beginning, Again, if there was a social media back in my day, I'd be talking about my specific story. And I do to this day, of course. But the thing is, that is the person that is easiest to help for you. Not because you necessarily have all the answers, but you know the background, you know the struggles, you can relate to the individual, you can feel their pain and you can empathize with them. And that's a lot of times what people need. Then you can also begin to share your journey of how you got well to give them hope. And if you don't give up on them, right, and they don't give up on themselves, then you're going to be with them every single week and every single month, walking them through the journey of getting well, giving them their protocols, tweaking their protocols as needed. I'm telling you right now, not only is this the easiest client to work with, and I don't mean easy because like helping someone get well is not easy, but it's the easiest in terms of them relating to you and actually getting clients, and then also you relating to them and then beginning to start that relationship, because health coaching or coaching in general is a relationship. It's one person caring for another. Even at them as the patient, they care for you, they appreciate you, they're grateful for you. And that's why, honestly, this is one of the most rewarding careers in the world, if not the most rewarding. Anything within this health and wellness-based sphere is just unbelievably rewarding. Doesn't mean that it's easy, again, but it's absolutely the best career, I believe, that you could have. So again, get out there, share your story, set up that call with the people that connect with you. You'll be able to share the story again and how it relates to them on that phone call, but first listen, right? And then you will help them map out a way in order to get there. They will become a client of yours because they know that you have their best interests at heart. They also believe that you'll be able to deliver them to get the results that you have today. So if you haven't already thought about this, and I know we've shared it before in previous shows, but I really wanted to bring it back up and maybe look at it through a different lens, is that if you're looking to build your practice, first start with a niche. There's no better and easier niche to start with and talk about than one that you know inside and out. And that's pretty much your personal story of healing and of hope. Hopefully today's show was helpful. All the 3 big takeaways, as well as the additional show notes, will be at ihp.coach/260. Again, that's ihp.coach/260. We'll also link up the previous shows on creating your own avatar and niche. All right, take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the day.